Hello Spider Peeps. Okay, just thought I'd review my case for the back of my iPad, which I turned into a monitor. You can watch the couple of videos for that here. Well, it'll only be one of them because I can only put one as a flag. Maybe I'll put the other one straight afterwards. Anyway, so here is the case. So I've added some extra things to it now, as opposed to what I did in a previous video. I've added 2 holes into the back bracket and I've pushed some heat inserts into them. That's fun doing those. I think I got them slightly off. And I've also put some holes in at the side, and that's to mount the button board, which I didn't do any work with before. And if you see, there's a couple of heat inserts in there for that as well. So I've updated the SCAD with all of this on there. So if you want to print it, you can have those bits. And I've also got the buttons. The buttons are really easy to print out. They're basically 2 cylinders on top of each other. So they're quite small and they'll fit through these little holes here. So let's try and get those in. It's so cold in the cave today. It's our first snow in the UK of the winter. Oh, and I've lost one already. Where's the other one gone? Okay, so those get pushed into there and they hardly stick out at all, but I'll show you that in a minute. And now I've got to pop the screws into the bushes. Now, as I've not got the proper tool to put these bushes in, I didn't get them in perfectly aligned, so there are issues with this. This video is sponsored by JLC PCB, which is where Spidermaf gets all his PCBs made, even before they were a channel sponsor. You're not going to see this very well, but once I've clipped them in, then I can tighten them up, and that'll hold the buttons in for me, hopefully. Oops. That one's not gone in properly yet. So if anyone wants to send me a heat insert for me to experiment with, I would be grateful. Okay, they've gone in nicely. Now if I tighten this too much, see the little buttons out here, if I tighten them too much they don't all press. So I need to undo this one a little bit until this button here clicks. There you go. Now they all depress correctly. So that's that side of it. Now remember these 2 bushes that I've done here, I've printed out this bracket as well. So this bracket sits on there and it will hold the board down. So let's try and put that in now. So that should go in there nicely, hardly any movement on that. Pleased with that. And then this will go in and these little bits here push down on the board, and that just holds that in nicely as well. I probably didn't have to put those things pushing down on the board if I hadn't have done that back bracket as high, but it's worked out good in the end. So let's tighten those up. And I'm just using these pan head torque screws because it's what I had. It's a very 3D printer thing to use these, isn't it? Yeah, now that board now is held so solidly, it's great. So that's not shifting at all. All right, so I can plug this in next. That's that in, and I have to bend that down a little bit so it doesn't foul on the screen. That can stay as it is. I could just tape that down if I wanted, and I think I'm going to leave this as it is as well. I should tape that down as well, I suppose, but at the moment I'm not going to be using it for anything else, so it should be safe there like that. So let's get the screen now. Here's the screen, so I've got to mess about with this again, and hopefully this will be the last time I have to plug this in to here, because this is now going to be this screen's forever home. Clip that in. And before I let it sit directly in here, the other thing that I did was I put a groove in at the back of the screen there, and then these little tabs here fit into the groove, and that really does a good job of holding this screen in. So at the moment I'm just going to lie it on top just to make sure it's working before I put the screen in. Alright, so let's plug him in. Yep, and it works. No signal, but it's good. That means it's working. So let's unplug that again. Now I'm hoping these will fit underneath there. One thing that I didn't do that I could have done is put one of these grooves the other side, and then I could have replaced one of the clips this side, and so it would permanently go in here. But I think we should be okay. Why is that not falling down now? There we go. That's engaged, and that now clips in there. And the nice thing about this monitor is that it will take iPad's screen protectors. Alright, so look how nicely that fits in there now. Fits in there great. It's all very flush. And I think I'll have to just put a little bit of 3M tape on the two standoffs in there just to hold it in. But it's quite stable. That does feel like it's okay, doesn't it? Well, you can't tell how it feels, but it's not rattling about or anything. Let's plug it in, check whether the buttons work. So the top button here, so that's the source, AV1, AV2, HDMI. That works lovely, VGA. The next one doesn't do anything at the moment because there's no signal, or the next one. And then the third one is the menu, and then the last one, I've lost a signal now, so it's timed out. And turn it off and on there, and then yeah, the menu works as so. And then I think these are up and down, so all the buttons work. And we've got a little, can we see this? Yeah, so a little green on light, we push that, a little red light to say it's turned off and on standby. I've made these so that they hardly stick out at all, but that means that they also won't break off, so I'm quite pleased the way they work. Alright, I wonder if this remote control works. Let's go and get a battery for that. This remote didn't survive the journey very well, did it? Oh well. At least the card works. And that should be the right battery. So, video select. Is that doing anything? Yeah, so the on and off button works, I hope. And the source, yeah. So the source is changing, okay. Well, it was. There we go. Source is changing. I was a bit too close to it. Source is changing. And the on and off works as well. So even that works. So I'm really pleased with this monitor. I'll tell you what I'd like to do next. I would like to get a see-through case for it. But yeah, you know, I'd have to be sponsored by a 3D printing company to be able to do that. I think that's it on the end of this monitor journey. Or is it? Oh, these batteries are annoying me. Could I use those batteries in there? They'll definitely fit in there. Could I harvest these batteries so this has internal power as well? Well, that's for another video. If you enjoyed this series, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing. Also, have a look at the other two videos in this series as well. You might find these interesting, but I think at the moment I've definitely saved this screen from landfill. Okay, bye. Alright, so look how nicely that fits in there now. Fits in there great. It's all very flush, and actually the screen doesn't hold in, whereas it did when I was testing it.